A wise man once said, "You can drive the truck out of Scotland, but you can't drive the Scotland out the truck." After Her Majesty's Army had finished with the Foden, it was bought by a heavy recovery specialist in Scotland. This had a profound effect on all the metalwork, which we were trying our best to bring back to life. I think you would have actually done less damage if you just backed it straight into the sea. It would have actually given the Titanic a run for its money with the amount of salt water it's seen. I decided I'd go round and weld up all the really bad bits. I started out by getting the old plasma cutter out and cutting out the bad patches. Now, I don't actually have a lot of sheet steel in stock the right thickness, so I was only doing the areas that were, with the holes in, basically. To be quite honest, the tin work on this truck is in quite a dire state, to be fair all over, so I just thought a bit of patchwork would be better. At least we're cutting out the bad bits, not just plating over the top like someone else has done on some of it, which we will have to also redo. It's no good to me with half the kit falling out the rot holes in the boxes. So the next thing I did was cut out a bit of fresh steel, which actually happens to be Dad's old diesel tank, because that's the only steel I had in a similar size. And then I drew round the bits I cut out, and then cut out the new bits of diesel tank and just stitched them back in. Pretty simple. I then jacked up the cap to allow access to the back of the air tanks and the diesel tank and some of the top chassis rails above the front wheels. Then, with a little bit of help from Jack, we struggled the rear wheels off. Ted was overseeing the whole operation. They might not look it, but these wheels are extremely heavy. It took a lot of getting it to free off the rim and dragging it off the drum. It's a lot heavier than me and Jack could manage, really. Scotland had had its way with this step and completely overran it, so this had to be removed and replaced. I set about Dad's diesel tank again, cutting holes in it to make a new step. A little bit of jiggery pokery with the clamps and some very bad pigeon poo welding, but anyone else that's welded to tinsel paper and rust with a MIG welder will already know that you can expect some fine welds from things like this, so let's not look too hard at the welding. It also took a lot of time, and I burnt myself quite a lot because I'm using TIG welding gloves, which are completely crap, and they may as well be using toilet paper. But I set about it a bit more and carried on. I didn't really want to, I was losing the will to live at this point, but I just kept powering on. You've just got to not look at the whole picture. When everything looks bad, you've just got to try and do one thing at once, even if the thing you're doing also looks bad. But it's definitely less rusty-ish than the original. So there you have it. I was never actually taught how to weld, and when you look at this you can really see that isn't a lie. A little bit of grind and paint makes you the welder you ain't. The other side, done by someone else, far better job. Jack's now going to try and reattach some of the eyebrows or the guttering that's fell off. The new pot riveter, look at that, Milwaukee. Men. All men. Right, so tell me when. Okay, right, we're doing a bit of an update. Look, we've got a new mic we're testing at the minute, so this audio could be rubbish. I'm currently patching up some of the holes in the side of the wing. We've primed some of it. I've got some big holes in there that I've got to do something with, and there, and here, and there, and a few places. But areas that we've blasted and primed are looking really good. There's a grinder on the floor that I keep tripping up, snap-on junk. So in here, I've still got holes in the floor, but everywhere else okay, so I'm going to get to them. I'm making my way this way. We'll show you what I've been doing. We've got that set to sort out, a few things there. We did a bit of test on the chassis rail just to see what it looked like, and I think that's looking pretty good. Jack's done some of the air tanks, and where it's still got paint on, where we just de-aired it down, we've just gone straight on with some black. At the end of the day, this is a workhorse. This isn't a vehicle we're trying to do up for a profit. This is like the Swiss Army knife. I don't know why I've got safety glasses on while I'm doing this walk round, but I've got safety glasses on. I've still got to take off the front wheels. I've got some things to do on the front springs. Are a little bit, well, they're illegal. I have also got new tyres coming. Well, when I say new, good tread, but they are in date. So there's a rule on the HUVs, I don't know if it's the same on cars, but you have to have tyres within 10 years old, well, under 10 years old, on your front steer axle. So I'm going to replace them, so I'll have 2 shit tyres for the back if I ever hit a nail, so she'll be a little bit more legal. So moving our way back, we did a bit of a trial of a bit of Hammerite smooth white on the interior of the boxes. So hopefully when we look in there on a dark day, you can actually see what's in the box, because usually they're a bit green and dark and shit and you can't see what's going on. Moving further forward, Jack is putting on all these little weather trims, like whatever you call it, like a bit of guttering. They'd all come away, a lot of the pot rivets had fell out, so Jack's replacing all the dodgy pot rivets. There was a great big hole there that I've made a little bit of a mess of repairing it, really, but Charlie was supposed to be here, but it's his birthday, so if that looks a mess when it's done, I'm going to blame Charlie and have to redo it. Sorry, Charlie, but he didn't want to come in today. So this side's pretty much done. There's Jack, looking pretty tall. We're trying the new mic, so just, you know. Yeah, thanks. So I've bodged up the rear step. That's looking slightly better. So now we're just going to wire wheel it, and we're going to go straight on with primer onto this. People go, oh, it's rusty, the paint will never stick. That's literally metal under there. It's the fact it's red. If you wire wheel it, it makes little to no difference, but we'll see if it sticks, because you'll all be watching, so when all the paint falls off, then you can judge me, but until then, you can't. So, I've still got to take that off. They're a little bit crap on Fodens. This is the Foden's Achilles heel, so the underlift for picking up lorries, buses and all that sort of stuff, which obviously I do a lot of picking up lorries and buses and that sort of thing. So usually on a heavy wrecker, the underlift has 2 great big rams that you pull a lever and it lifts it up. Great. The Foden built all this wonderful thing, and then they realised, oh shit, we haven't actually put any rams to lift the underlift up. And then they thought, bollocks, what can we do quickly to make it lift? And they thought, I know, we'll get a Fisher-Price strap, and then we'll weld a point on the top of the crane, and we actually have to use the crane to lift the underlift up, which is talk about an afterthought, but that's how they all were. So I need to unpin that just so it's not there while we're painting. And obviously we have painted the rams. I'm not going to show you what colour they are because they're behind the brown paper, and I'm going to keep it a secret. But the main boom is going to go black for the simple reason of when you extend the jib out, obviously there's an area, well, it has 2 push-outs. There's an area that's obviously black with the grease, so it wouldn't look, in my opinion, it would look rubbish if it was any other colour but black. So yeah, I'm going to do some welding on this wing, and we'll get back in a little while when we're putting a bit more primer on. Sometime later, and a splash of primer here, there and everywhere. Starting to look a lot better. A lot better. I couldn't actually get that damn pin out that holds that rubber band on that works the underlift, so that had to stay on. But so far, so good. Really pleased, by the way. It looks very clean. Very clean indeed. I bought you a nice brand new blue point gun.
Sexy gun.
I can tell it's going to be absolute shit.
Probably. You never know, you'll look.
Oh, at least it looks good. I'll tell you what, I just cross-read that. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of upset people about the colour choice, but, I mean, look at the cab. That was a pretty good indicator of what I was going to do. Plus, I was never in the army, and, yeah. I just thought it would look good, to be honest, and I think it does. My hair's a bit of a mess. It's covered in paint. But we're pretty much finished now. I've just got to finish changing the engine oil and the oil filters. The front axle, while the wheel's off, the rim covers this bit. Inside there's the Hardy Spicer. Obviously, when it turns, it's obviously a front-wheel drive axle. There's grease nipples in there, so while the axle's off, I'm going to grease that up. I'm also going to drop the diff oils and the transfer box and the two rear axles, maybe the hubs as well, because I may as well make a job of it while we're doing it. The engine does actually have a little bit of a fuel leak, which has been leaking all over the floor there, so I've had to put a spill kit. Ted is very bored of being in here. Right, Ted? Oh, you're a bit bored. Sorry. So we won't keep you long because Ted's bored. But there is a bit of a fuel leak. It turns out that there is a, I don't know if you can see my finger there, but there's a copper washer thing that's failed there. But so while the cab's up, we'll mend that. But yeah, that has took so much painting, it's actually unreal. There's so many nooks and crannies and ridiculously hard, awkward bits to get at, and I'm 100% sure we will have missed no end of bits when we actually start, when we get it out the workshop. But no, it's looking really good. I haven't painted the outriggers yet. I want to put them in primer, but I was going to paint in black, but then I thought, if I'm working at the side of the road, because who knows what I'm going to be doing with this, and we put it out in the dark, you could walk into it or drive into it. So I might paint them white and probably chevron them for a bit of safety. That box that I've repaired it's not brilliant, but it's better. But yeah, it's looking a lot better. This is probably my favourite vehicle, so and we'll make it a bit better as we go along. We'll probably update some of the lights and probably put LEDs on it. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it. I still quite like how it is, a little bit old and crap. It is obviously 1987 or 6 or something. I'm not really sure. But yeah, she's looking a fair lot better. And we won't be in a rush to paint another one of these because it was not enjoyable. And we used, I think we used about 15 litres of paint, and I'll probably put a few more bits on. So yeah, and anyway, the rear rams have came for the Scania lorry. So we've obviously got that other Alvis Stolly to pick up. So I'm going to try and fit those rams tomorrow, if I get a chance. And then we can go and pick the Stolly up, the second Stolly. And we'll see if we can get that going. So thank you all for watching the video on the Foden. Obviously, you'll see it finished. I'll probably put a photo up somewhere, but you'll see it finished in the next video.